the Amazfit Bip 3 as well as the Redmi Watch Active 3. Today we'll be putting these two trackers in a head-to-head comparison. So both of these trackers actually use TFT LCD displays. Both of them have Gorilla Glass or tempered glass. Both don't have GPS, but that's okay because they are very sporty at the heart of them. So with the Amazfit, 60 sport modes. With the Redmi, 100 sport modes. One has Pi, the personal activity index, while the other gets Bluetooth calls. There is a lot to cover in this particular video. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this video, firstly we'll talk about the case designs, then we'll cover the straps as well as their clasps, we'll talk about the displays, and then we'll get into the features and functions. So let's kick off with the case designs. Well, what can we say? Both of these watches are big. Well, rather big, right? Also, we have to consider that the Amazfit Bip 3 has actually been released in June 2022, so a year ago. The Active 3 is rather new to the market. It was only released 1 month ago. So they have about 13 months difference between the two of them. Now, if we talk about the premiality of these trackers, well, the Watch Active 3 wins hands down, simply because this tracker and its watch case is actually surrounded by this beautiful stainless steel case, and it's not just chromed on plastic. No, this is actual stainless steel, so you get the good wear and tear and you get the premium looks. If we look at the Amazfit Bip 3, well, it's plastic. In fact, it's like the cheapo dark gray, almost black plastic, although this was my favorite wearer before the Huawei Band 8 came out. So I was wearing it non-stop for quite a bit of time, about 6-7 months. And we can see that this hard plastic is actually really good at keeping the wear and tear effects off it. Now, the Active 3 is my favorite watch right now. I've been wearing it for about 6-7 weeks non-stop. I don't take it off. I love this watch. And we can see that stainless steel, it's good. The chrome is there, it's not chipped, it's not wearing off. I can't see any scratches, although there have been falls and the usual wear and tear with this tracker. So if we talk about the looks, yeah, no doubt, the Watch Active 3 is better. If we touch upon straps, there is a commonality between these two because they've got the sportiness in their nature and they've got these huge display sizes. Well, the manufacturers try to hide or conceal the sheer size of them, so the straps are actually integrated. Now, I think that with the Bip 3 it's actually better because you get the quick release straps, and any 20mm straps will do. You pull the clasps and that's it, you get it off. It is nice and simple. With the Watch Active 3 you get a beautiful strap. It's very velvety, it feels almost luxurious, but it's not as convenient simply because it's got the clip and tuck kind of buckle here, or the clasp. And here we got the classic watch type clasp. With a clasp that's classic watch type, it's so easy to put on and off. With the clip and tuck, it looks great, but it's just not as practical when you're looking for speed and accuracy and you just want to get that thing on and get it moving. No, with the clip and tuck, it takes a bit of time. You might clip it into the wrong spot, or while you're tucking it in, well, the clip comes undone. So there are these little things which are slightly annoying. So if we talk about practicality and the strap, the Bip 3. If we talk about the looks, the overall design, the Redmi Watch Active 3 wipes the floor with the Bip 3. And now let's talk about the displays on these two trackers. So back in 2022, when the Amazfit Bip 3 came out with this massive 1.69-inch TFT LCD display, that was quite, whoa, that's the size of smartwatches. And nobody really noticed that, well, the TFT LCD display wasn't that amazing. The blacks weren't as rich and deep, the colors didn't pop off the actual display. And you know, there were quite a few other tidbits. Something, for example, as easy as auto brightness. It just wasn't included on the Amazfit. Now let's talk about the Redmi Watch Active 3. Well, here, different story. 1.69 on the Bip 3, 1.87. So 10% larger on the Redmi. Also, the TFT LCD display here is the quality that I would expect from an AMOLED panel. The blacks are very deep. The colors literally pop off the display. They're so colorful. Unfortunately, there's no auto brightness either. Now, you don't get always on display on either of these two trackers. And that makes me really touch upon battery life, because I know people love AODs, always on displays, but really they do drain the battery quite significantly. So these ones don't have AOD, and I don't think that's a problem personally. Now, with battery lives on the Amazfit, you would expect, well, the manufacturer claims 2 weeks, but really you do get a solid 9-10 days out of it, and that's great. With the Redmi Watch Active 3, manufacturer claims 10 days. No. With typical usage, you're looking at 4 days max. So the battery life on the Redmi is a bit unimpressive, but again, it's just so much more bright. It's got a huge display, so it sort of explains it. Anyways, now we've talked about that, let's get back to the watch faces. So with both of these trackers, you get absolutely hundreds of watch faces that are available. Also, the way you scroll through the different apps and widgets, it's much smoother on the Redmi. So that's the displays for you. Now, if we talk about the actual glass sitting on top of these displays, we've got Gorilla Glass on both. So it's tempered glass really, and it should save you from the usual wear and tear. Both of them have anti-reflective and anti-fingerprint coatings, and that is very useful. Trust me, it is, because even though they do have buttons, you still mostly use the touch activated displays. Right, now let's get into the features and functions of these two trackers. Fitness trackers are all about sports. Well, the Bip 3 from Amazfit gives you 60 sport modes. The Redmi gives you 100 sport modes. If you ask me, I'd say 60 is more than enough. I will tell you that even, well, 30 is probably overkill. But 60, 100, both do well. In regards to advanced metrics, well, they're all goal-based. So on both trackers, you get goal-based sport modes. That means that you can set an objective to every exercise. For example, with running, you can set the distance, you can set the time or the calories to be burned. You also get activity alerts here. You get the heart rate zone alerts. You get the pace alerts. You can auto pause these two watches. So for example, when you're going out running, you might want to auto pause. So when you stop at a traffic light, you don't want the metrics to keep on measuring your distance, right? You just want to stop, the run pauses, then when you start moving again, it switches on. Useful? Yes. Advanced? Not really. Many trackers have them, but many don't. So in regards to sports, these trackers are really good. Now there's one feature which does stand out on the Bip 3, and that is you can actually customize your data fields on the sport modes. If we talk about sensors, well, you get your 24/7 heart rate tracking. Of course you do. You get your steps. Now you get your continuous SpO2 on both of these trackers as well. So continuous blood oxygen saturation monitoring. That's great. Stress is monitored continuously throughout the day and night. Also, you get sleep monitoring. Now, in regards to naps, with the Redmi Watch Active 3, as long as your nap is over 20 minutes, it gets measured. With the Bip 3, as long as it's over half an hour, it gets measured. Now, I don't take naps, so I can't really measure how accurate these two trackers are. But still, the functionality is there. In regards to the usual sleep tracking, these two smartwatches do monitor your deep, light, and REM sleep. Now, the standout feature on the Redmi Watch Active 3 is that after you've taken your sleep, after you've woken up, you don't have to go to the app to decipher and analyze your sleep metrics. All you do is you go to the sleep widget, and there you've got a full suite of information. Now, if we talk about other features and functions, well, it's usually all the same, right? You get your weather widgets, your timer, your stopwatch, that's all great. I want to talk about the really cool things. And this is where it gets interesting. There are two features on these two smartwatches. One has one doesn't have the other. And I think it's up to you which of these features is more useful. Let's start with the Amazfit Bip 3. So here you get the Pi, the Personal Activity Index. Now, I've talked about the Pi in quite a lot of detail in my prior videos where I've reviewed the Amazfit smartwatches. So this Pi index actually gives you a value of anywhere from 0 to over 100. And it comes up with that figure from the steps you've taken, from the intensity with which you perform certain activities, to how well you slept. And basically, as long as your number is over 100 points, you've got 20 to 25% less chance of getting heart disease. Now, that is actually a really good tracker to make sure that you are staying active. And because the Pi number actually accumulates all your activity throughout the week, it's very useful to make sure that you're always active enough. I used to love this feature. I used to, because now I moved to the Redmi Watch Active 3 and it doesn't get that feature. But the Redmi gets Bluetooth calls. And what that means is that this watch actually gets a microphone just under the button here, and under the actual watch case there is a big speaker. So you can do Bluetooth calls as long as you're connected via Bluetooth to your smartphone. And let's say you're in the house, I don't know, your phone is in the bedroom, you're in the kitchen, in the lounge, in the office, somebody calls you, all you do is you pick up your wrist and you speak into the watch. Now, this is something really cool, really advanced and premium, but you get it for 35 bucks. So again, if we talk about features and functions, I do find the Pi is good, but the Bluetooth calls, it got me. And the overall design. So these two trackers are absolutely amazing. I think the Bip 3 was the best tracker of 2022, budget tracker. In 23, it's the Redmi, definitely. In regards to price, both of these trackers cost around the $35 to $40 mark. And I will be leaving links to the listings where I got these watches from in the description below the video. So make sure to check them out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.